Hi, I'm Adam from Watford Opinions, and I've gotten the honor of being able to do this loan roundup. So without further ado, we'll head right in. So the first player to talk about is Ryan Cassidy. He is a 19-year-old Watford youth product who is currently playing for League One side Accrington Stanley. He's played 9 matches in all competitions so far, and he has 3 goals and 2 assists in those appearances, including 6 appearances in League One with a goal and an assist. Cucho Hernandez is on loan to Getafe for the upcoming season. They currently sit 10th in La Liga. The 21-year-old Colombian has made 7 appearances, scoring 1 goal and assisting twice. Next up is future potential Watford number 1. I wouldn't be surprised to see there being a competition between him and Bachmann in the near future. Pontus Dahlberg, the 21-year-old Swedish shot stopper, has made 10 appearances so far for the team that currently sit 3rd in the Allsvenskan. Sorry if I've mispronounced that, the Swedish first tier. He's conceded 10 times in 10 matches, but he's also kept 4 clean sheets. So he's had a very good record in that and could definitely be someone who's wearing the Watford number 1 kit in the future. Next up to talk about are the 2 players who are currently on loan from Watford to Udinese. Ignacio Pusetto, the 24-year-old Argentinian forward, has made 4 appearances and scored once in those 4 appearances in Serie A, including a match, and the goal was a match winner against Parma from long distance in the 88th minute. So he definitely marked his return back to Udinese with a bang. Next up is probably the most notable of the names, Gerard De La Feieu, the 26-year-old Spaniard, did get injured in Watford's victory over Liverpool in February, and he was sidelined for a while, but it's good to see him healthy again and only out on loan rather than being sold permanently. He's so far made 5 appearances in all competitions and has scored in the Coppa Italia, but it's very good to see the forward back in action, and he seems to be playing near the top of his game. Obviously, he's going to need some time to shake off the rust, but the injury seems like a thing of the past, so let's hope it stays that way and doesn't re-aggravate itself. Peñaranda and Sinclair have both been loaned out to CSKA Sofia. Peñaranda has made 3 appearances in all competitions and has gotten 1 assist in the process, whereas Sinclair seems to be a bit more preferred by the manager as he's made 6 appearances, including 3 in the Europa League, and has scored 1 goal in the Bulgarian first tier. The last notable Watford player who's out on loan. There's a few other smaller names that are on loan to smaller sides, but I'm just trying to make sure I capture all the bigger names, the players who seem to have a more immediate future at Watford, or maybe not, but players who have either played for Watford recently or definitely have a future with Watford. The last player being Craig Dawson. He's been loaned out to West Ham for the season, but so far since joining, he has not played a minute. So that'll be very interesting to see how it turns out. So now I've read off all the players, notable players, and then their stats. I'm now going to go through them and consider their future with Watford, just to put it simply. Ryan Cassidy, right now, he's on a 2-year deal. This loan deal will take up 1 year of that deal. So then he'll be with us for the season after this. Whether or not he extends or not is yet to be seen. But I feel he could certainly be someone who has an impact if we don't get promoted. I don't see him quite becoming a Premier League striker just yet, but I think promotion might also convince him to maybe want to hang on for longer than 1 more year, because in the past he has had interest from bigger clubs such as Wolves, or big clubs such as Wolves. But he didn't go, obviously. But he's definitely gotten interest from big clubs before, so it wouldn't be surprising to see, if he does well, someone try to come for his signature. But Ryan Cassidy, I do see him with a potential future at Watford, so he's definitely a name to keep an eye on, even if he's not one of the biggest names. Cucho Hernandez, again, on loan at Getafe. It'll be interesting to see whether he has a future at Watford, because he's kind of similar to Luis Suarez, who we sold permanently, in the sense that he's never played for Watford, but he was scouted at a young age, has been with Watford for a while, and has been loaned out, and has kept improving in doing so. So whether or not Watford will use him as a source of income or as a number 9 or player up top next season will be interesting to see. I think he has a better chance of actually playing for us than did Suarez. A lot of fans have felt that way, so Cucho Hernandez could definitely have a future at Watford, and to see him doing well is definitely a good thing to see. Pontus Dahlberg, as I said before, I would not be surprised to see him be the Watford number 1 in the future. There's not really any other way to put it. He's a fantastic keeper. So too is Bachmann, but there could definitely be competition between the 2. Ignacio Pusetto, I'm not so sure I see him with a future at Watford because he really didn't seem to adapt well to football in England. Maybe that was just the type of play style Pearson had and he didn't really fit the system of the manager. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him move on permanently after this season and the loan kind of being a temporary thing just to get him to another club that's, well, preferably and is in the top flight. De La Feieu, I think we all know what his future at Watford is. If Watford do get promoted, he'll return. If not, he'll probably go permanently. He's essentially said that himself. Peñaranda and Sinclair, the sad thing for them is unless they really have brilliant seasons this year, I don't see a future for them, especially Peñaranda. He had his whole X-rated video fiasco. So the futures for them are definitely uncertain. Maybe Watford will try to loan them out a couple more times and see if they eventually do find the form they need to be performing and starting for Watford. So that'll be interesting to see. And Craig Dawson, especially after the rumors that he was trying to force a move out, I'm not sure I see him with a future at Watford. Watford currently have Christian Kabasele, Craig Cathcart, Ben Wilmot, and William Troost-Ekong on a permanent basis. And I don't see Dawson coming back and taking any of their positions, so I think the club and the player will come to a mutual agreement to eventually move on. Dawson is not a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. He was one of Watford's best players in the run-in last season. But if he's not going to really want to fight with Watford this season, if Watford do get promoted, they might consider, well, you weren't with us when we were fighting to get promoted, so why would we keep you now? And if Watford don't get promoted, Dawson might still want to fancy himself as a top-flight player. So there's definitely a low likelihood that he comes back to Watford. And yeah, that's it for the loan roundup. Overall, most of the players have done pretty well. They've started to get the playing time they've needed. Maybe none of them have been prolific, but they've definitely done their job so far. And most of these moves at least seem like beneficial for both Watford, the club that's loaning them in, and the player themselves. So yeah, thank you for listening.